Hello there, this is me, Joy Cousin 93, and this is Prettier Than a Rainbow Live, episode 27 review. So, basically, this episode is the aftermath of the Try Grooving session, and what we have is, I think it's about 2 minutes of Naru just explaining what's happened, that the story's gotten a lot more business because of them winning his Happy Rain in the Try Grooving session, and that Ito's Makeup Corner is... she makes makeup for cute nail. She makes a cute nail polish and such. On makes some delicious sweets, and Naru's somewhat gotten used to the customer service thing. And then what happens is we see Ku, and he's like, "Oh, here's our evaluation for the 6 months." And then Sato's looking at it, and she's like, "Oh, my evaluation's gonna skyrocket." And then after that, we see Sato go into the prison. Worlds of Prism shows. There we go. And basically gives the evaluation to Aki. Aki goes through it, saying that it looks like your sales are doing well, and that the designs for Naru on and Ito's outfits fit them well in their own way. Naru's skirt fit her well, her lovely side, and this sort of street design for On fit her, and the chain on Ito's outfit fit her cool style. So, of course, Momo, throughout all this, was like, "Oh, stop it. You praise me too much," and such. And she's all happy about it. And then, of course, classic Momo, she slips up and says, "Oh, yeah, what is this prism? What is this seventh chord? Like, what's seventh chord?" Aki picks her up, gets mad at her, and is like, "How could you forget something important? This results in a negative valuation, and I have to report this to headquarters." So, the Prism Worlds has a... Hold on. Sorry about that. But the Prism Worlds has a headquarters? That's certainly weird. Like, I thought the Prism World was just, Rene and such, but I guess it's a whole headquarters now, so... Who knows what's going to happen when Naru and the rest of them go into the Prism World. But besides that, after that, Momo is then, like, she gets out, and then we see Naru and Ito. They're sitting around talking about such stuff. And then Belle, Wakana, and Ito, and Belle, Wakana, and Ota, there we go. They come in, and they're like, "Oh, yay, how you doing?" And they're talking about... Your store must be Wakana then says, "Your store must be doing well, huh?" And Busan's like, "What do you mean?" And Wakana's like, "Well, of course you beat, Edaro's S team, or Belzer's, and there couldn't be any better advertisement than that." And On then says again, like, "What do you, what do you mean by that?" And she said, "Oh," and she's like, "Oh, whatever, like, what I just said." And then what happens is Naru then asks Belle, "Oh, yeah, what happened with your mother?" And Wakana's like, "Well..." And then we see a flashback to when Belle first went home after that, and all expected Belle's mother to be very angry, right? Well, she wasn't angry. She was actually happy, because she says that the association was happy with her, and sort of that she went through with the she was happy with the 4 jumps in the Prism Live. Then what happens is Sato comes up and she says, you all need to get to work on certain things. Ito with her makeup corner, On with her sweets, and Naru with designs. So what happens is then we see Momo. Actually, is it Momo? No. We see Hiro, and he's talking with, Supervisor Norizuki, I guess. And basically they have a conversation, sort of like, "Oh yeah, how's Belle's situation?" Hiro says she's fine. She performed 4 Prism jumps and a Prism Live. Norizuki's happy about the Prism jumps, but the Prism Live, he's not really happy about, because he says that Eda Rose has to focus on refining their techniques and perfecting and having flawless Prism shows. And something like that, strays away from a traditional Prism show. And he says, And then he also says, oh yeah, romance is nice, huh? And says that, what is it? The name of his, like, sort of his quote, like Hero's quote, absolute idol, love no good. So he's like, be careful about that. And of course, Hiro obediently says, yeah, all right. And then also, Norizuki says that the next single that Hiro is going to have is going to be made by a more famous artist besides Koji. Then what happens is we get a conversation with June and Himuro. June talks about Kaguya-hime, Princess Kaguya, there we go. The story of Princess Kaguya, sort of an old fairy tale, I guess, in Japan, where it's, what is it, when she went up to the moon, then she put on the cloak, she forgot about her grandparents, and, what is it, and that's the sort of feeling she has, and then we see Star sort of crying next to her, so that might actually happen to her. But Norizuki was talking about before, about a story of a man who couldn't perform Prism shows, but then met a woman who could perform Prism shows, but then she left the stage once again. So that story was probably about June and Himuro, and hopefully we see more of what's going to go on with Himuro and what happened with Himuro and June and how they met and sort of how she left Prism shows in the first place. But moving on, then we have a scene with Momo, and we see a scene with Momo, and she's sleeping after she eats the autumn dream cake that An made. So what happens is she's sleeping, and a voice is calling for her. She wakes up, and she's standing on this pedestal, and she's standing there and looks around, and then notices a picture and says, "Oh, Teacher Peacock." And what happens there is Peacock asks, "Oh yeah, why were you in this world? Why do you think you were sent in this world instead of just eating snacks, sleeping, and then eating more snacks?" And then, who is it? Momo then starts talking about how Prism Stone's success was good. They beat Etero's Team S, and that they have all performed Prism Lives, and that it's not just them, that she practically taught Etero's Team S because Ito helped Otoha perform Prism Live, On helped Wakana, and Naru sort of helped Bell to perform Prism Live. Now, of course, Peacock's like, that doesn't matter. It's not like you did anything. It's just on Ito and Wakana. On Ito and Naru did something. You had nothing to do with that. And basically, she's still trying to make a case for herself. And then what happens is Peacock is saying, oh yeah, then you're going to be going, like, because you really haven't done anything, you're going to be going to the mascot graveyard. So what happens after that is they sort of cut it in the middle, where then they move on to, what is it? The PairFriends. And the PairFriends talk to each other. Seshi, Papoon, Femini, Ethne, Kurun, and Lovelian. And basically they're talking with each other, sort of breaking the fourth wall a little bit. Seshi says, oh yeah, like, who are your favorite, like, characters? Like, who are your favorite characters in the series? Seshi says that hers is Hiro, because he's so cool, his dances are awesome, he sings well. Femini says that's hers as well. Then we move on to Ethne. Ethne says, Ethne sort of moves it to Papoon. Papoon says it's Kazuki, definitely, and that does Wakana have a thing for Kazuki, and Kurin's like, what is it? Ethne's like, no, it's not me. That's Wakana, not me. And then we move on to Kurun, and Kurun's is obviously Ito. And then Kurun says something about Ito. Like, he says something that no one else knows, that they actually kissed. And that everyone's like, ooh. And then we see Loveline crying. She says, she's like, oh yeah, what's wrong? And Loveline then says, at that time, and then they show when Naru cried, and says, she's like, well, we might as well just leave it. We'll leave it between us, what happened. And basically we see them outside just sort of dancing around and all happy. And then we move on to Peacock and Momo again. And basically, Peacock saying that, they need Rene back in the prison world as soon as possible. And the only way that they can do that is if they gather the 7 glimmers. Now, the 7 glimmers, what are the 7 glimmers? And, well, even we don't know at this point. And basically, he explains when the 7 glimmers sparkle at their brightest, that the gate will open for Rene to return to the prison world. So, I'm thinking Naru, An, Ito, Bell, Wakana, Otaha, and a mystery person soon to be revealed. Who knows? Who knows who it really is? But, well, we'll see sooner or later. Like, there has to be another character if there has to be 7 glimmers. So, hopefully we see that extra main character soon enough. And basically that's the end of the episode, because then Momo asks about the, 7th chord again. Then, of course, Peacock does the same thing Aki says, and like, find out for yourself. And if you still haven't learned something important, you still can't remember something like that, then you're definitely going to go to the, the mascot graveyard, drops a pan on her. Momo wakes up. An does the same thing because she ate the sweets. And basically that's the episode in a nutshell. So again, very great episode. Sort of story wasn't revealed because the June and Rene confrontation did happen, but all June said was, "Oh, I can't really talk to you right now," which again was a bit disappointing, but you know what? I guess it leaves room for next week, which I'll explain in my preview because it seems like a very interesting preview. But again, that has been a Pretty Rhythm episode review. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys later.